Hello, neighbors, and welcome to the neighborhood, or welcome back to the neighborhood if you are a returning character in this story. I am Squealer D, and I am back again. And this time, my friends, we are back in the world of finance and we are learning about bankruptcy because, in order to get our finances right to trade on the stock market, we have to have a bank account, right? If we have a bank account, we have to have money. We have to not be bankrupt. We have to not have collections and not have big amounts of money owed to other people. So, bankruptcy may be an option for one of us, or all of us, or some of us. So we should know about it. Also, if you know about money, you should know about what happens when you lose money. So we are ready to go Wednesday morning. It is 8:16 a.m. where I am. We are on the West Coast, the best coast. Yes, I said it, guys. I have my coffee, D for dinero, guys, because that's what we are learning. It's so good. Okay. So up on the screen, we have one of my favorites, Investopedia, a wonderful place to read and learn. And it's free, guys. They do have an academy that you can pay for, but they have all these free articles that teach you, and they are great. So we're going to get into this bankruptcy stuff, and we are going to talk about money. And we are going to talk about what to do if you need to get your finances straight so that you can begin day trading and build yourself an egg for the future. So let's get into it. What is bankruptcy, guys? Bankruptcy is when you are overwhelmed by your debts. Bankruptcy is an option. And I don't want you guys to feel like this whole time we're reading that bankruptcy is a bad thing. Just so you know, we'll start this off with a little story time. I declared bankruptcy, I think, in 2009 when I was only 21 years old. And I think it was 2009, whenever. Way back then, I filed bankruptcy. And within a year, guys, I had credit cards. I had rented a new place. I know that a lot of times they say, it's hard to buy a house or rent a house, rent an apartment if you file bankruptcy. And my credit was better than it ever had been within a year of filing bankruptcy. So do not think that if you have to file bankruptcy that it is the end. I know that was a long time ago and things have changed, but the world will not throw you away for filing bankruptcy. Lots of people file bankruptcy. I think my grandparents filed bankruptcy like 3 or 4 times. It just is what it is, guys. And it's okay. It's okay to have money problems. Donald Trump has declared, let's look how many times if Donald Trump has declared bankruptcy. Fact check. Hillary Clinton told him, "You've taken business bankruptcy 6 times." I remember when she said that. On occasion, 4 times, we use certain laws that are there. Fact checker, Clinton is correct. Trump's companies have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, which means a company can remain in business while wiping away many of its debts. The bankruptcy court ultimately approves a corporate budget and a plan to repay remaining debts. Often shareholders lose much of their equity. Trump's Taj Mahal opened in April of 1990 in Atlantic City, but 6 months later defaulted on interest payments to bondholders as his finances went into a tailspin. In 91, they filed for bankruptcy. He could not keep up with debts on 2 other Atlantic City casinos, and those 2 properties declared bankruptcy in 92. A 4th property, the Plaza Hotel, declared bankruptcy in 92 after amassing debt. 2 more bankruptcies filed after 92, totaling 6. Trump Hotels, Casino Resorts filed for bankruptcy in 2004, after accruing about $108 billion in debt. Trump Entertainment Resorts also declared bankruptcy in 2009 after being hit hard during the 2008 recession. So, Trump told Washington Post reporters that he counted the first 3 bankruptcies as just one. Yeah, I would too. If I filed bankruptcy in 1990, 1991, and 1992, I would consider them all one bankruptcy. No, I wouldn't, Donald Trump. No, I wouldn't. If you filed something in 1990, something in 1991, and something in 1992, how could you think that those were all one thing? Man, Donald Trump is a liar. So, you see that, guys? You can be a president and file bankruptcy. Do not feel bad if you have to file bankruptcy. I feel no type of way about filing bankruptcy in 2009. My daughter was 4 years old. I was in college and I was trying to get my life straight. Since then, I had 2 major back surgeries, guys. I don't feel bad about needing to file bankruptcy again. I don't. I may need to file bankruptcy. It's okay. Stop letting people make you feel bad about things that happen in your life. You can't help it. Could Donald Trump have did something about his 6 bankruptcies? Probably. And then he probably shouldn't have been paying prostitutes or porn stars with his money. I mean, that's how you go bankrupt, but that's not my business. So anyway, don't feel bad about declaring bankruptcy, guys. Presidents file bankruptcy and we still elect them and they still run again 3 times. So, I mean, it is what it is, guys. Do not feel bad about filing for bankruptcy. I don't know how many times I can tell you that. If you need to file for bankruptcy, do it with a big old smile on your face like this. I want you to smile like that when you file your bankruptcy, guys, because it's helping you, not hurting you. F all that debt that you throw away. F all those people that you owe. Because you know what? They would say F you, and they would file bankruptcy on you. They would not care about you. So you smile real big like that all the way to your bankruptcy, okay? Now, let us learn a bit about bankruptcy. Because I want you to make a smart decision. And informed decisions, guys, come from knowledge. Donald Trump made those informed decisions about his businesses because somebody told him to. A financial advisor told him that that was the best way out. And that's okay. It's okay for Donald Trump. He became president. It's okay for you. If you have to go bankrupt and throw debt away, you throw that debt away. And don't feel one bit bad about it. It is not your job. Your job is to take care of you. So, if you're overwhelmed by your debts, bankruptcy is just one option. And we're going to talk about the other options, guys. Do not think this is your only option. There are programs out there that help you pay your debt off in time. Lots of different programs, and we will talk about those also. This is just one option. So, if you have large debts that you can't repay, are behind in your mortgage payments, and in danger of foreclosure, are being harassed by bill collectors, or all of the above, declaring bankruptcy might be your answer, or it might not be. Bankruptcy can, in some cases, reduce or eliminate your debts, save your home, and keep those bill collectors at bay. But it also has serious consequences, including long-term damage to your credit score. That, in turn, can hamper your ability to borrow in the future, raise the rate you pay for insurance, and even make it difficult to get a job. So, I had no problem getting a job, going to college, and finding an apartment directly after my bankruptcy in 2009. None at all. I do understand that I wouldn't have been able to borrow for a house within a year or so, but I wasn't looking to buy a house, so that was fine. So just remember that. Filing for bankruptcy is one way to get out from under a crushing debt load, but it has negative consequences that can last for years. 2 common types of personal bankruptcy, Chapter 7 and Chapter 13. We're not going to stay with Chapter 11 was Donald because that was a business bankruptcy, and we are not talking about those. So, those will stay on your credit for 10 years and 7 years. So, a Chapter 7 will stay for 10 years, and a Chapter 13 will stay for 7 years. So, if you file bankruptcy, a Chapter 7 where it wipes away all of your debt, it will stay on your record for 10 years. if you file a Chapter 13, that will stay on your credit score for 7 years. Also, what stays on your credit score for 7 years is any negative information. So collection agencies, things like that, for 7 years. So you might be better off just letting the collection fall off after 7 years. I don't know. Before filing for bankruptcy, it's worth contacting your creditors to see if they're willing to negotiate. Many lenders, for example, have programs for people who are having trouble paying their mortgage. So definitely call your lenders, guys. I know credit card companies that they have a lower offer if you're willing to pay it off. Maybe sometimes even it's less than half of what you owe. So check that out too. Like I said, there's lots of ways to fix your problems, guys. Bankruptcy is not the only one. It is just a viable option. And like I said, do not feel bad about taking this option, as Donald Trump has taken this option 6 times. Still became president, guys. Still runs businesses, guys. Still is running for president for the 3rd time, guys. Do not feel bad if you have to take this option. So bankruptcy cases are handled by federal courts, and federal law defines 6 different types. The most common types used by individuals are Chapter 7 and Chapter 13, named after the sections of the Federal Bankruptcy Code where they are described. Chapter 11, bankruptcy, which is often in the headlines, is primarily for businesses, and that's what Donald Trump filed 6 times, guys. 6 times for billions of dollars. You might mark off a couple $100,000 worth of debt. Let's say that you had a big car loan that you're gonna declare, and you have a bunch of other stuff. My shirt keeps getting all caught up. But, yeah, you might file a couple $100,000, maybe $1 million in debt. Donald Trump filed billions in debt. Billions with a B. So don't feel bad. It's okay. Please do not feel bad. So, Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the type most individuals filed, is also referred to as a straight bankruptcy or liquidation. A trustee appointed by the court can sell some of your property and use the proceeds to partially repay your creditors, after which your debts are considered discharged. And if you have no property, guys, we're talking owning things, then they don't sell anything. They're not going to come in and sell your clothes. They're not going to sell your speaker. They're not going to sell your laptop that you use for work. They are talking about your property. If you have no property, you're just a poor person, don't worry about it. That does not apply to you. They're not going to come and take your little treasures that you have and sell them. They allow you to put what you have worth money. And if all you have is just some trinkets that are memorabilia to you, they don't own money. You love them, but they're not worth anything. They're not going to take them. You just write that you have those and that they're worth nothing. And then that's it. It's easy. So don't be afraid of bankruptcy. They're not going to come in and steal your couch. I promise. If you bought your couch on credit and you still owe money to like Aaron's Furniture, then maybe you will have those repossessed. But the trustee is not going to come in and take your shirt and sell it. So some types of property can be exempt from liquidation. Your car, your clothing, your household goods, the tools of your trade, pensions, and a portion of any equity you have in your home. You should list the property you're claiming as exempt when you file for bankruptcy. Sorry, I got a little cough. Chapter 13 bankruptcy, on the other hand, results in a court-approved plan for you to repay all or part of your debts over a period of 3 to 5 years. So the difference between the two, guys, Chapter 7 heaven, wipes away everything. Some things you get to keep, like your car, if you don't have a loan on it, if you own it. If you file Chapter 13, they help you pay things off. You don't have to liquidate your assets. You can keep your home and keep paying payments on it. You can keep your car and keep paying payments on it. And the Chapter 13 will allow you to keep your home as long as you continue to make the agreed upon payments. So you do not have to give up your car. You do not have to give up your home. You can file a Chapter 13 bankruptcy. Different types for different people, guys, with different situations. If you're poor, don't own a home, you're not paying on a car, you can file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, keep the car that you already have, because you get to keep a car, guys. You got to get around. You got to go to work. You get to keep your clothes. You get to keep tools. You get to keep pensions. You get to keep equity in your home. So those are all good things, guys. Things that we have to read about before we make a decision, because like I said, there are other ways to pay off your bills besides bankruptcy. You could do a long payment plan with a company that does that. So, the bankruptcy filing process. There are a number of legally required steps involved in filing for bankruptcy. Failing to complete them can result in dismissal of your case. Before filing for bankruptcy, individuals are required to complete a credit counseling session and obtain a certificate to file with their bankruptcy petition. So I did both of those. I did those online. The lawyer that I went through for bankruptcy, I did a Chapter 7 bankruptcy. The lawyer I went through, he gave me a link. I just logged in. I did it online, printed out a certificate, took it back to my lawyer, and handed it to him. That was it. The counselor should review your personal situation, and my lawyer did that. They reviewed my personal situation, offering advice on budgeting, debt management, discuss alternatives to bankruptcy. We did that. You can find the names of government-approved credit counseling agencies in your area by calling the federal bankruptcy court closest to you or by visiting its website. Filing for bankruptcy involves submitting a bankruptcy petition and financial statements showing your income, debts, and assets. You'll also be required to submit a means test form, which determines whether your income is low enough for you to qualify for Chapter 7. If it isn't, you'll have to file for Chapter 13 instead. You'll also need to pay a filing fee, though it is sometimes waived if you can prove that you can't afford it. So you might even get to file with no filing fee. You can obtain the forms you need from the bankruptcy court. If you engage the services of a bankruptcy lawyer, which is usually a good idea, they also should provide them. So, you can obtain the forms. Once you've filed, the bankruptcy trustee assigned to your case will arrange for a meeting of creditors, also known as a 341 meeting, for the section of the bankruptcy code where it is mandated. This is an opportunity for the people or businesses that you owe money to ask questions about your financial situation and your plans, if any, to repay them. So I had a 341 meeting. We got all of my creditors together. Mostly I filed on medical, dental. I had some dental work when I was 19 from childhood, and that I couldn't pay off was so much. I had a bunch of root canals. What else did I have? I had a car that was repossessed when I was 19, and I had some credit cards. I think that it was like $60,000 that I filed in my bankruptcy. And when I had my 341 meeting, nobody showed up, guys. None of the businesses or people that I owed showed up. It was just me. Nobody came to ask questions or anything like that. It was just a poor person and nobody cared. So that was easy. People think that someone's going to come and be like, no, we want our money. If it's a credit card, guys, they're not going to come. So your case will be decided by a bankruptcy judge based on the information you have supplied. If the court determines that you have attempted to hide assets or committed other fraud, you may not only lose your case, but also face criminal prosecution. Unless your case is very complex, you generally won't have to appear in court before the judge. After you file for bankruptcy, and I didn't, guys, I went to the 431 meeting, and then they did all that, handed it to the judge, and the judge just approved it. So, after you file for bankruptcy, but before your debts can be discharged, you must take a debtor education course, which will provide advice on budgeting and money management. An alarm went off behind me, but I don't know what kind of alarm. Okay, sorry. Wow. Again, you will need to obtain a certificate showing that you have participated. You can obtain a list of approved debtor education providers from the bankruptcy court or from the Justice Department. And I did do that. It's just an online course, again, where you have to learn about everything after the bankruptcy. So, Mocha Draws. Hello, neighbor, and welcome to the chat, my friend. We are learning about bankruptcy today as we guide our way to learning to trade on the stock market. Are you interested in finance, my friend? So, the consequences of bankruptcy, guys. Both types of individual bankruptcy have some negative consequences. A Chapter 7 bankruptcy will remain on your credit score for 10 years or credit record for 10 years, while a Chapter 13 will generally remain for 7 years. And like I said, 7 years is also what a collection stays on for 7 years. So if something goes to collections, you have a credit card, it goes to collections, that also stays for 7 years. Same. So, according to Experian, one of the 3 major national credit bureaus, declaring bankruptcy has the greatest single impact on credit scores. It may also make you appear to be a poor risk to companies that request your report, including other lenders, insurance companies, and potential employers. So bankruptcy is going to look bad, guys, if you have to do, like, say, a background check for the military. Note, too, that there are limits on how often you can have your debts discharged through bankruptcy. For example, if you've had debts discharged... Oh, it's an alarm on the iPad. I was like, what? For example, if you've had debts discharged through Chapter 7 bankruptcy, you must wait 8 years before you could do so again. So 8 years, guys. 8 years between bankruptcies. But I guess if it's corporate, Chapter 11, you don't have to wait 8 years because Donald Trump filed in 91, 92, 90. Different rules for people with lots of money run a corporation, guys. If you file $1.9 billion, then you can file as often as you want, I guess. Unlike corporations and partnerships, individuals can file for bankruptcy without an attorney. It's called filing the case pro se. But because filing for bankruptcy is complex and must be done correctly to succeed, it's generally unwise to attempt it without the help of an attorney experienced in bankruptcy proceedings. And it's important to remember, guys, that even the Internal Revenue System is sometimes willing to negotiate. So the IRS may be able to reduce the amount you owe in taxes or spread your payments out over time. And that will be very helpful paying things back, guys. And about the lawyer, I looked it up online to see if I could do it online. I might, if I do my bankruptcy, guys, I might try to file myself. And if I do, I will let you guys watch what you can watch. Like, I will help you out. Josh. Hello, neighbor. Welcome to the neighborhood, friend. How are you doing? We're just in here finishing up our coffee and talking about bankruptcy. So I may actually file my bankruptcy myself. If I decide to file bankruptcy, I might try it myself, guys. I paid last time. I think I paid $800 for my bankruptcy. I think that's what it was, but that was way back in 2009. So let's read about some alternatives, because if I don't file bankruptcy, we need to know what else to do with this debt, right? Bankruptcy is sometimes the best way to get out from under crushing financial burdens, but it's not the only way. There are alternatives that can often reduce your debt obligations without the messy consequences of bankruptcy. Negotiating with your creditors without involving the courts can sometimes work to the benefit of both sides. Rather than risk receiving nothing, a creditor might agree to a repay schedule that reduces your debt or spread your payments over a longer period of time. If you're unable to make your mortgage payments, it's worth calling your loan servicer to find out what options you might have. Short of filing for bankruptcy, those could include forbearance, which will allow you to stop making payments for a specified time, or a repayment plan designed to stretch smaller monthly payments over a longer period. Another option might be loan modification, which will change the terms of your loan, such as lowering the interest rate on a permanent basis, making it easier to repay. However, beware of unsolicited offers from companies claiming they can keep your home out of foreclosure. They may be nothing more than scam artists. Guys, you have to be careful for scam artists. They're sickening out there. They want everything you have. If you owe money to the IRS, you may be eligible for an offer in compromise, allowing you to settle with the agency for an amount less than you owe. In some instances, the IRS also offers monthly payment plans for taxpayers who can't pay their tax obligations all at once. Bankruptcy laws exist to help people who have taken on an unimaginable amount of debt, often as a result of large medical bills. or other unexpected expenses that are no fault of their own to make a fresh start. But it isn't a simple process and doesn't always lead to a happy ending. So before filing for bankruptcy, be sure to explore all your alternatives and be prepared for some of the negative consequences described above. If you decide that bankruptcy is your only viable option, as hundreds of thousands of Americans do every year, remember that the blot on your record will not be permanent. By using credit carefully in the future and paying your bills on time, you can begin to rebuild your credit and gradually put bankruptcy behind you. So, let me give you 2 examples. I have a cousin who wanted to buy a house, and buy a house she did. She had never bought a house. Her credit had always been bad, and she was low income, but she wanted to buy a house. So she knew she had to get her finances straight. So should she file bankruptcy and have that on her record for 7 years and then wait to buy the house? Because right after bankruptcy, they're not going to let you buy a house. Well, she wanted her house. So my cousin went to the bank and she went to all of her creditors and she used her tax return, guys. That's a good idea. I know that you guys like to use your tax return for things every year for your children to catch up on bills, but your tax return is a perfect way to start paying down your debt. It is you get a one lump sum, you pay down some of your debt. So my cousin used her tax return and she paid $8,000 or $10,000 down on her debt. And then she got herself a secured credit card through her banking account. And a secured credit card, guys, we learned about that yesterday. That is where you put the money in the bank. You secure the credit card with your own money. And then you use it just like a debit card, but it goes on your credit as a credit card so that you build credit. And she did that for several months. And with that and paying down her debt with her income tax, she was able to buy her house. She fixed her credit. She went from, I want to say like a 400 all the way, guys, up to almost a 670 to get her house. So it's very, very, very possible without bankruptcy. And she did it quickly. Within 6 months, she had negotiated with people, not the IRS, but other people negotiate too, guys. If you're with a credit agency that is collecting a collection agency, they like it said up here, rather than get nothing, they will make a deal with you. So call them up, see if you can make a deal. So bankruptcy, we already read that. So explore all your alternatives and be prepared for negative consequences, guys. And then on top of that, guys, I filed bankruptcy. She did it the other way. I filed bankruptcy, and within a year, I had a new car. I had new credit cards. I had my credit rebuilt back up almost to a 700, guys. And I was down. I was like a 400. And by filing bankruptcy, it helped me get back up. I was like a 659 or 679. So I was on my way to a 700. After my back surgeries, I am no longer on my way to a 700, but I'm going to get back there. And you can get back there too. And this, guys, this right here, what we're learning on the screen, this is how we get back there. So if you're concerned about inflation and market conditions, you're not alone. The good news is that working with a financial advisor, you could do this, guys. Pay for a financial advisor. They offer free services. They offer unfree services. There's lots of different programs. There's programs through your bank for secured credit cards. Everybody has a program. Make sure you're not getting scammed. But there are ways around filing bankruptcy, and there are ways through filing bankruptcy. And remember, collections stay on your credit report for 7 years. Bankruptcy stay on your report for 7 to 10 years. So they're both long term. Whether you have bad bills or you have bankruptcy, that both of those things look bad on your credit score. So do you want to fix it with a bankruptcy so you can start getting more credit? Probably, if you are looking to hurry. If you want to fix your credit, it may take longer. I have a friend who they went through a 4-year program. They paid payments for 4 years through a agency. I can't remember the name of it. I would blow it up, guys. I just can't remember the name of it. It was a while ago. It was about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. They went through a agency that took 4 years. They paid payments every month to pay it down. The agency helped them negotiate with their debtors. And at the end of the 4 years, when they were finished paying off all of their debt, their credit score was worse than when they started, guys. All of their debt was paid off, but their credit score was lower than when they started paying off their debt because it took so long, guys. Even though they broke the payments up, smaller payments over time, they made a deal, they used a credit agency to help them, it lowered their credit score rather than raise it. So we have to be careful with the people that we trust with our finances, guys. We already mess our finances up enough. We don't need to pay other people to mess them up even more. Because you could just sit there and do nothing for 10 years or 7 years and all your collections will fall off. You don't even have to pay them. And I know what people are going to think, like, but Squealer, you're suggesting don't pay your bills. Well, I mean, I'm not saying don't pay them, but if you can't pay them, then you can't pay them. I'm not going to tell you to go out and rob, steal, and kill to pay your bills. Like, just don't pay them, guys. In 7 years, it'll go off of your credit score. It's no big deal. I mean, at the end of the day, you don't have to break your back for the world. Donald Trump wrote off $1.8 billion, guys. $1 billion in debt. So that little piddly $500 you owe to a credit card, don't feel bad about writing that crap off. $500? Okay, say it's $5,000. Let's say it's $50,000. Are you going to feel bad about $50,000 in debt getting written off when Donald Trump wrote off $1.9 billion? And he did it 6 times, guys. We could look up how many rich people have written off how much money, and I bet you it's billions and billions and billions of dollars that they've all written off. And we look up to these people. We make them our heroes. We make them our leaders, our presidents. And then we are ashamed to write off a couple $1,000s worth of debt. I'm not ashamed, guys. I say write that debt off. I say if you can't pay your debt, you don't pay your debt. Pay yourself. Are you saving money? You need to get these out of off of your credit score so that they can't take your money out of your bank. Don't worry about paying those creditors because nobody else that's rich is worried about paying those creditors. If you can't pay them, pay yourself. Feed yourself, house yourself, clothe yourself, and take care of your kids. Those creditors, they expect you to pay, but people like Donald Trump don't pay. So, be like Donald Trump. Not like Donald Trump in going to jail, guys. Just like when it comes to bankruptcy. File bankruptcies back to back if you have to. That's okay. It's okay. You do what you have to do for yourself because everybody else in the world is going to do what they have to do for themselves. So my suggestion to you, my friends, is get your situation correct in any manner that you have to. If it makes other people go without, well, that's their problem, not yours. And I know that this sounds hateful, but I don't mean it hatefully, guys. I mean take care of yourselves. I think that the most important thing in life is that we take care of ourselves because nobody else is going to take care of us. And we see in this world today, so many people aren't taking care of themselves. They're addicted to things. They're addicted to drugs. They have no money. They're living on the streets. Nobody's taking care of them, guys. And because of it, the world just keeps getting worse and worse and worse, and crime just keeps going up and up and up. So don't live in fear of bankruptcy. Don't live in fear of debt. You can get out from underneath it the same way Donald Trump did with no worries. No worries, guys. Don't worry. And if you don't file bankruptcy and you go the long way, don't worry about that either. Don't worry about what people think of you. You're going to be okay. So I think that is it for today, guys. We just had a quick one with bankruptcy. Tomorrow will give you more options of things to do. And we will talk about some other stuff to get our finances right before we start trading. Because trading on the stock market, guys, it is a lot to learn and a lot to lose. And I do not want you to lose any more than you have to or that I am willing to lose. So we are going to do this the smartest way possible. And that means Learning, guys. The more you learn, the better off you will be. I promise. I don't know much in this world, but I do know that the smarter you get, the better your life is. And maybe you tell me, but Squealer, some people are really smart and they still get beat and abused. Well, guess what? Are they really that smart if they're getting beat and abused? Because if you're getting beat and abused and you're smart, you get the heck out of there. Anytime anybody beats or abuses you, you get away from them. It doesn't matter who they are. So I don't think they're very smart. I think that if you're smart, you get away from things. You get away from your debts. You get away from people that are hurting you. And you get away from things that aren't working. And you gravitate towards learning things that are working. And I have been telling you guys for weeks now that the things that are working is the stock market. Every year, the stock market raises by about 10%, guys. People make about 10% on the stock market every year on average. Some people make way more. Some people lose way more. But if you are smart enough, you could take advantage of that 10%. And you can grow it over your life and have yourself a little nut. And that is what we're hoping for, my friends. But first, we have to crawl out of the hole of debt if you are in debt. If you're not in debt, I'm clapping for you right now. If you are not in debt, that clap was for you. Because now all you have to do is start at the next step, which is making yourself a little nest egg, a little egg for savings. That's emergency savings, guys. And once you have your emergency savings, the next step is making your little egg for stock market. You need an egg, one egg, $10,000, guys. If you can get an egg with $10,000 saved up after you pay off all your bills, that's your emergency savings egg. We spend that egg on nothing except for emergencies. Emergencies, not car maintenance, guys. We're not talking about tires for your car. We're talking about emergencies. We're talking about you're driving down the road and your tranny falls out of your car. Well, that's an emergency. We're talking about you're driving over the pass and your tire blows out. Well, you have money to replace that tire. We are not talking about the new tires you need, though. Those things need to be scheduled in. Scheduled in, guys. We're talking about a $10,000 nest egg. $10,000. Just so that when bad things happen, you are Gucci. When I had my back surgery, $10,000 would have done me wonders. But guess what? Squealer D had no nest egg. No emergency fund when I had my back surgeries. I was all alone. I had nobody to help me. And guess who failed me, guys? My family failed me. My friends failed me. And I was all alone with kids and back surgery. No emergency money. And that is probably now why I'm doing this. Like, I never want to see anybody go through that. To go through an emergency like I went through with nothing and no one, it's hell, guys. And I never want to see anybody go through that. So if we can learn how to create a nest egg so that nobody has to go through that, then we'll all be better off. That's where we're headed. So come back tomorrow, same time, same place. Be there or be square, guys. Because if you don't learn, you'll never know. That's how it works. I didn't make up the rules, guys. I'm just telling you. So I will see you tomorrow for more learning about finances because we all need it. Bye, neighbors. Have a great day.